live stream. It says it's got a 20-second delay between going to Zoom to YouTube.
You're live.
"20 seconds. Welcome, everybody. This is the first Powerstroke Tech Talk live stream. We're trying something a little different, and I think, let me check this. Hope I'm doing this right. I think I've enabled live chat or super chat or welcome to live chat. Working out the bugs. I think I got it on. Well, anyway, I think we'll figure this out as we go. Excuse me, but too bad I'm at work. Everybody, okay, so we got a couple people chiming in. I see how this is going to work, but I figured we tried something different. We're always doing the podcast pre-recorded, and people may not be able to interact as they'd like to. So yes, live chat is working. Excellent. What is super weird is I can hear myself playing. Let me, there we go. I had to mute myself. I didn't know which one to mute because I'm like, what is going on? Hold on, I wonder if I can fix this window here. There we go. That's way better. Okay. I can I move this to the side? Yeah, that'll still work. Okay, so I guess we'll start off talking, about the same kind of stuff that we usually talk. People, oh, we got somebody from Calgary, eh? Welcome, bud. Talking about the stuff that we usually go over, whatever you guys want to chime in. I know DS, he had just put a video up a little bit ago about a problem he was having with his 6.7. Maybe he'll chime in here, or maybe he will join the Zoom meeting, but we'll see. We are going to talk power strokes. Mr. VNV, thank you for coming through. Super chat, there's so much going on. People are commenting and reading and trying to go over stuff. So new to me. Let me know if you guys are digging it. We do have Cody here kind of checking it out with us and seeing how it goes. But like I said, trying to interact with you guys a little more. And there's DS Trucks. Woo woo, he in the house. If you're around, dude, come on through. So one of the things that I've been wanting to talk about on the podcast is fire. This fire thing that I've been hearing with the Super Duties and the whole front of the truck, the pictures that I've seen on Facebook, the whole front of the trucks have been totally burned down. The whole front end is completely melted. And oh, Austin, bro, what up? That's awesome. Thanks, buddy. I guess I want to reach out to everyone who is having that issue. I'd really like to get you guys on the show and talk about what it is that exactly happened to you guys. I guess I'm more so really interested on your guys' fuel filter maintenance. And it's not something that I want to get into a lot of detail right now here in this episode, but put the word out if you guys have known anybody that has got their truck on fire. Unfortunately, it's a bad situation, but hopefully nobody um, got hurt. Kenny Smith here just commented, fuel filter cracked. That's exactly what I'm thinking. But like I said, I want to know for sure if that is what had happened. I mean, obviously, if it's melted down, it's going to be kind of hard to tell. But um, I think I think it's definitely something that needs to be talked about because people are losing their trucks, and like this one guy says, it's scary. Let me fix this window because it's like really in my way. Can't do that. Can I make can I make it wider to the side? Oh, there we go. Way better. Now I can see the chat full full side. Does my audio sound good, everybody? Does my audio sound good, Cody?
So far, yeah.
Does it sound normal? DS, if you want to get up in here, yeah, let me send it to you. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can finagle this really quick. DS, give me 1 second. I'm going to send DS the link to actually get in here. Matt, if you're watching, you're more than welcome. Holler at me. I'm just trying this out. DS, check your stuff. Check your credentials. Let's see where this is at. I'm going to have to invite him or accept him rather. Okay. Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, I think he should be coming in anytime. But yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm working out these technical difficulties. I definitely want to talk about what's happening to these trucks. One guy's just said seen broken return lines as well. But we all know how return lines are going to bust, and that's one of two things: either contamination and so forth, or something else out of our control is causing this. But let's see, did DS come in yet? Nope. But yeah, if you guys got anybody, know anybody, send them my way, give them my email. This guy says the fires are my biggest concern. I spend days at a time living in my truck for work. I definitely can second you on that for sure. Here comes DS right now. Let's see what he's got to say. What's up, baby?
What
What's
up?
up,
DS up
DS?
in the house. Yeah, we were just started off actually talking about your video and
Which video?
the one that you had put up about the issue with your 6.7. I believe you were talking about it with me with the upper radiator hose.
Yeah, have you ever seen that?
I have not. You're actually the first to bring that to my attention. For those of you
Yeah.
that maybe haven't heard about DS's issue, I don't know. You briefly tell everybody what is what it is exactly that you're experiencing. Maybe they'll have to go out and check their trucks too.
Yeah, it was a very minor
Minor,
thing.
minor.
Just the upper radiator hose making contact with the, now what would you call that part? The cooler, the air intercooler?
Yeah, that would be the intercooler on the driver's side there. The
Yeah,
silvery box.
I'm looking at the video and I'm thinking, here I am talking about this part. I kind of know what it is, but at the same time, I don't know exactly what to call it. I'm like 80% sure what it actually does. But then again, like how it's a water cooled intercooler, right?
Mm-hmm. Water to air.
So
Yep.
water to air. So like I haven't seen a whole bunch of those in my life. I could recognize a regular intercooler pretty quick, but a water to air one, I'm kind of looking at it like, what is that? A little bit. So I was like, man, I hope I got that right. I made the video and already posted it. I'm like, man, I hope I actually got that right. But I think the charged air, the hot air is coming into that metal pipe on the top, and I would think maybe the cooled air is coming out the bottom somewhere. I don't know.
Hmm.
I haven't looked at it that close, but
Coffee
anyway,
table book.
Yeah, yeah,
I gotta
absolutely.
look. I gotta look into how that works. But yeah, the upper radiator hose. I was under the hood messing around with that project that I was messing with, and I'm like, there's like rubber dust all over that intercooler,
Like, what's going on?
and I'm just looking at it like, and I'm looking underneath, and it's chafing through. It's starting to chafe the radiator hose.
I actually have to look at mine. I'll write myself a note. Anybody else out there or is available, not right now, but go check your truck. Um, is do you have a chafe there on the intercooler as well, or is it, maybe orientated? I guess it would be more pertinent to um, the 450. Nonetheless, I mean, orientation is still going to be the same.
Well, one person left a comment and said that he didn't have the two-piece protection that I have. He had one full piece. He had
Really?
one continuous full piece, and he had a 2020 built in like June. So I
Of
don't
20?
of 20.
Hmm.
So that kind of sounds like the same kind around the same time that mine was built, maybe even before mine was built. So I don't know. I'd be
Jake
curious
Rains
to see.
says, I can hear Cummins guys bad mouthing us Powerstroke guys. Yeah, well,
It's true. I mean,
get
the
them
Cummins
Dodge
the
boys.
the Cummins has an advantage there for sure, being something that takes up less space, a little bit easier to cram everything in there. So,
Yeah,
but dude, what about these fires, man?
I know. I know.
What one thing I noticed is every one of those that I've seen was pulling an RV.
Hmm.
Have you? I've
I have
never.
seen them with nothing.
You've seen them with
Just just
nothing,
just empty. Dude was pulled up to like a strip mall and just
just the
front
truck by
just a
itself.
blazing.
Oh, okay. You
Just a
know,
blazing. It's something, I think about. And this guy says the upper radiator hose does sit on the top of the charger cooler hose.
which is interesting because SPE has
The new
a
Cummins suck. Yeah.
the SPE has that new hose. So I was looking, if it becomes an issue, I can replace that hose with the SPE special
Yeah.
specialized special hose. Maybe I don't know.
Well, SPE. Um, I hope you're listening. I'm not here to slander or anything, but I am going to be making a video, kind of, I guess, maybe like a rant video, just talking about my experience and everybody else's experiences that I am hearing about, and I'm hearing good stuff. Don't get me wrong. Um, but there's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of ticked off about, and I don't think the COVID excuse is really gonna cut it. But um, I want you guys to hear what I have to say because nobody answers the phone, nobody answers emails, nobody. Maybe it's me. I don't know. I just WTF, But whatever. Um, maybe they had a solution for Shaw's problem. A little upgrade. Got a little problem, little upgrade. that I'd like to take care of, but yeah, I don't
But
know if
but when I looked into it, there was something about some O-rings because I kind of researched this radiator hose a little bit. They were talking about O-rings and you know this. You can elaborate. You guys both can elaborate on this because I've never had to service one of these. But there's O-rings involved with the upper radiator hose apparently.
Kenny Smith, don't get me started on turbos. Mm, mm. If you know, if you said that, then you know what I'm talking about. I agree, Kenny Smith Jr. Yes,
I need to pull that up so I can see what these people.
indulge. We're snacking. We got some bubbly. We're just hanging out, talking about trucks, talking about Powerstrokes.
Am I
Upper
frozen?
oil.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah, you are frozen a little bit. Or are you or
oh,
not?
I
No,
was for a
that's the
second.
delay.
Oh yeah, there's a serious
I'm
delay
on
there.
my. Oh, I'm about to say this guy's talking about his second upper oil pan on a 21 F250. I'm like, come on, dude, are you kidding me? 3374 JJ Jason. He's got to get back up on the show. Yeah, too bad he's at work. But we got to show you his brand new 21 250 that he just copped because his 20, if you guys remember or haven't seen yet, he's on another show that that we talked about his 20 with a transmission fluid leak. So, none the short story short, he's got a new 21 F250 that is, hold on, not iconic silver. It always messes with me. What's it called?
Magnetic.
No,
Well, they changed that
the
code
new
for
one.
magnetic.
What's it called? I always screws
Ooh,
with me. I'm
I,
sorry,
I
Jason. I keep
couldn't.
forgetting it.
I couldn't
It's always on
say
the
it.
tip of my tongue.
Um,
Let's see here. Dropping the 4TB and the OBS. Oh, okay, okay.
but dude, back to that fire thing. Is that really the fuel filter spraying fuel and failing or whatever? Is that really the issue?
Say that one more time. What did you
The
say?
apparently, the fuel filter, the top one on the engine is made out of plastic. So
Correct.
a lot of guys would say it cracked, and that would kind of be like, well, when was the last time you changed it? And a lot of people were like, well, I just changed it or just had it changed and it just blew up. This is a brand new filter and it just blew up.
My
So
question is it Ford filter or is it an aftermarket filter?
good
Mm-hmm.
question. Good question.
I can see that right now. I talked to a guy. I didn't ask him any questions. He just was giving me information and said he had gotten like 6 filters off of Amazon, and they were not
Ooh,
Motorcraft.
ooh.
So, although the Motorcraft filters are like $100, maybe you can find them cheaper. I mean, about $100. In this instance, I believe you're going to pay for what you get. However, you need to change those filters according to how you drive. That filter is only designed to capture so much contaminants. Once it exceeds that, what's going to happen? So
It's the same scenario where it has a really high mileage rating, but if you're not taking hours into account and things like that, you just run the miles, then I believe there's probably a severe duty service interval for that filter as well as the oil. Or
carbonized gray metallic, that's it. It always gets me. I can't remember that.
that's a lot to say.
Oh, yep, right now. Yep, Diesel Tech Ron shaking his head at Ford right now. Diesel Tech, RIP, buddy. Never forget you. But he was going through the same struggles with the parts back then, just with maybe not getting quality reman parts. I can't say I've had problems with the brand new Ford parts, but when you take a reman turbo, brand new, what up, Chris, and put it on the truck, and you get it, and it sounds like a vacuum cleaner, or just like the one that you took off. It's like, what just happened here? And then you know, questioning your ability to do is like, did I not diagnose it right? It's like, how are you getting a bad reman right off the bad reman?
I've seen three in a row go bad.
Oh man. I'm a Ford diesel dealer tech. A fellow diesel tech just changed his filters with the Motorcraft 2000 mile ago, and it cracked. Really?
Ooh, what a motorcraft.
Hey Fred, tell your buddy. Give him my email. You can go to my channel, see my email. Tell him to email me. We
Okay,
can
wait a
email back
second.
and forth, or do over social media. But I'd like to talk to him and get a little more info.
Here's the thing that I also kind of stumbled upon as well. A lot
What's
of
that?
people are buying motorcraft, but they're getting it from different sources like Amazon or whatever. And a lot of times they're getting subpar quality, lower quality motorcraft.
They're getting knockoffs, is what they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting knockoffs. They're getting like knockoff spark plugs or rejected parts or things like that, where that could be why it's a motorcraft. But I don't know. For me, when I go to get a fuel filter, I'll go to the dealer and get it just to be safe.
Oh, what does this thing mean? I don't know. I just clicked on. I don't
What do
know
you
what that
think?
meant.
What do you think about Amazon Motorcraft? Can you trust it?
No.
I don't know. I don't know if I can't.
If you
If I
can't
can't,
afford it, I'd say go to Lakeland Ford Parts. Search Lakeland Ford Parts on Google and buy it from them.
this guy commented here. It's a me. There's plenty of China parts labeled Motorcraft, but they're phonies. I'd stay away from Amazon cheapies. That's a good point. That's entirely true. Because
Yeah, you'd have to know the full, because a lot of times, regardless, even not even motorcraft, but any part or anything like that, where Amazon can be questionable for anything.
I see. I don't know. Say something.
Hey, what's up?
No, I don't know. Like these little buttons down here at the bottom. Like I don't know.
Share screen. I have a share screen button, which I don't have anything to share, but
Oh, okay. I see. I see. I ain't gonna lie. Just about 602 on Amazon. This guy says I ain't gonna lie. I bought a 6.0 turbo from Amazon one time, and it was a used one in the box. Get out of here! Are you serious, man?
that's
Wow.
crazy.
I would love to hear more about that. Like the look on your face, right? You just ordered this turbo off Amazon, and you open up the box, and the thing's used. Like what? Thinking that you're buying a new one. Come on. Have to be careful buying motorcraft products from other sources like Amazon. If it's a knocking off,
Well,
motorcraft might not work yet.
I've seen that guy Ford Tech Make You Local, and he was showing a bunch of knockoff motorcraft parts on Amazon. So a bunch of knockoff spark plugs and just parts that were rejected or out of date or whatever. So
My buddy bought spark plugs, motorcraft spark plugs off Amazon and put them in his 3-valve, and he had a misfire.
exactly, it was 3-valve stuff that he was showing us. The Ford Tech Make You Local.
Went to the dealer and got new plugs. Misfire is gone. When he compared the plugs, you could see the difference in the plugs.
How do you like this setup?
Oh, dang.
Is that better?
I can dig that. It looks tight. Should have the front of the 450 up on there.
I know. I'd have to go in the front yard and they'd be like, "What's that guy doing?" It's
What is that guy doing out there? Okay.
It's nighttime. He's got a big, giant Milwaukee light shining at the front of his truck, and he's sitting there in a chair.
I'm gonna get my buddy Tom Brown in here.
So what do you think about? All right, so on the fuel filters, there's there's some allocations that there are motorcraft
Here we
problems.
go.
There's problems with these motorcraft filters. I don't know. It is kind of scary to think you could be out somewhere and just have fuel squirting everywhere. What's igniting the fuel?
Look at this guy. He says Milwaukee is tight. Now I got to respond to this guy. I can't. How do I do that?
Because I've seen these fuel filters spraying the fuel and they're not on fire too. So was it this is hitting the turbo and just catching fire? Like why is it catching fire?
It's got to hit something hot. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's got to hit a spark. It's got to hit
hit
a
a
spark, right?
manifold or something that's super hot.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
It's not like gasoline where it's going to spark.
Right.
Fuel bolt. This guy says fuel boldly. Oh, Kenny Smith, you just wait. You're about to get a nice fuel bolt dropped on you.
What do you think about that? The fuel bowl delete with that. What company makes that?
I don't know.
I got one on my
Mr.
truck.
Tom.
What company makes that? Is it SPE?
I'm not sure.
I forget. And then
10-4 rubber ducky.
you screw on the filter.
Oh yeah.
Do you like that, or do you think that's kind of?
It's like I haven't seen it in person. I mean, I would like to check it out. I don't have the ability to, I guess, in person at this point in time, but I think having it in front of me may be a little, oh wow, tangible. I like touching it, like seeing it, like checking out, comparing, contrasting. I like the idea. I think those filters. I mean, I like the fact that you can buy them separate. Not that you need to buy them separate, but I think having the little screw-on filter. What was it? Was it a cat?
I
A
don't
cat
know.
filter?
I think it's a Fram.
Or Fram?
Cat.
I thought it was a cat filter. Yeah,
Is it
but
cat?
whatever. There is also one. I think Adam Miller just said HNS. I think it was HNS that I may have seen.
Yeah.
Where the lower housing, they actually had a new take it easy, Jason.
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
It takes that whole thing out, and that that looked like, whoa, I've never seen somebody else.
I guess the only thing you'd have to kind of consider is the specifications of the filters, which probably shouldn't be an issue. I mean, they have the right micron ratings and all that.
I wonder if that's going to cause a problem with the way, say you got a second tank, how it draws fuel from the second tank. Or just draws fuel, period, because of the way that's set up. It's all under a vacuum.
Do a 7.3 IDI swap, bulletproof. You can run without filters, burn used engine oil, just strain the pine needles and cigarette butts out. Buddy, like, are you trolling me, dude? Just wait. Just wait.
We got the video for you.
Just wait. It's going to be fun. I'm actually excited. I'm in production right now. And I'm going to upload it soon so that you guys can actually check out an OBS with some mods. That is not normal. So it's going to be cool to show and see what you guys got to say about it. And you guys did give, I did get over 100 likes. I think it was like over 160 likes on that old OBS. You guys saw the video or just the picture on the community tab on my channel and on Instagram. Seeing what kind of Franken truck that guy's got going on. So that'll be kind of cool. Mr. Tom, are you there? Do you hear us?
Unmute yourself.
Got his ears on here.
Yeah,
oh, there he is. Okay, cool.
Yep, I'm here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Everybody, if you guys haven't seen our other podcast shows with Tom on, he is our AMSOIL rep, and
Enough of me for the night. I think I'll put my picture back up.
And was on a couple episodes where we talked extensively about oil. I know the oil gets drained out, but we had a good talk about coolants and the importance of getting coolant changed frequently in the vehicle and what kind of coolant to use. Talking about acidics and the importance of checking the nitrates. So you guys can check that out. Where we talked about that. It's a lot of good information, and everybody has always wondered, you know, what do I do with cooling? Oh, it's got 2 cooling systems. So what do I do? What do I do? Well, I didn't even know. We go over all that stuff, and just to kind of clarify with everybody exactly what's going on underneath your hood.
Hey, Rod, I had a call Saturday afternoon. Guy calls me on his cell phone. I think he's in Houston. He's got a 2017, 2018, 6.7. Secondary is blowing coolant out of the secondary cap. And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
What?
You'd have to be generating one hell of a lot of heat in the secondary system for it to be
blowing out
past the cap. And I asked him, first thing I said was, what are you doing with this truck? He said, oh, I'm a hot shot and I'm towing 85 mile an hour down the highway, you know, wide open throttle, full speed, full load. And I'm thinking, okay, so we know what the conditions are. So what condition is the truck in? You know, he starts going through and he's, you know, replace the radiators and replace thermostats and check the caps. I mean, he's done all the stuff that I'm thinking that, but then he starts telling me, oh, well, the truck was in a wreck and they had to replace a bunch of stuff on the front of the truck. So then I started thinking, well, maybe you got a pinched coolant hose somewhere. But then, and I think you did a video on this recently. Didn't you do a stop leak video?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I started wondering, somebody put stop leak in his frickin' secondary system. I'm betting dollars to donuts. And so every component in the secondary system has been, because his trans temp was hitting about 250. So I'm thinking, yep, I'll bet you when the truck got wrecked, somebody threw stop leak in the secondary system. They probably replaced the secondary radiator, but they didn't clean out all the secondary connected systems. And so the fuel cooler, trans cooler, charge air cooler are all plugged up with stop leak.
Wow. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Wow.
I haven't heard back from him yet, but
what year did he say that was? You said 2017?
It was 15 or newer. I just know that it was after the EGR switch on the primary side. But the truck had been deleted, but that wouldn't have affected this situation. So
wow.
Yeah, he was broke down somewhere, over boiling coolant out of the secondary radiator, and I'm thinking, man, you'd have to be really generating.
What is the secondary radiator? What does that actually cool off?
All the emissions components and.
Well, on that one, I think it's the, if I remember the chart, it's the transmission cooler, the fuel cooler, the charge air cooler, and I think that's it on the 15.
Yeah, they took the EGR out.
So yeah, because that the EGR not being there because it's deleted means that part of the cooling system is under less load.
Right. So I mean, if he's running high, hot, and heavy, you know, his transmission is generating some heat. And his charge air cooler is generating some heat because he's pushing max boost through the motor.
So whoever worked on it, probably they could have tested everything and thought, well, it's okay until he's towing enough and put enough stress on it to where,
because it's not leaking, you know, and if you're just sitting there running around town or testing everything, doing a pressure test on it, nothing's leaking. The you know, secondary pump is probably circulating coolant, that thermostats are opening and closing, but it's not circulating enough coolant. There's plugs, I'll bet you there's blockages in those components that are all plugged up with stop leak. And so the secondary coolant is not circulating through the secondary system loop. And so that transmission is not really getting cooled. The charge air cooler is not getting cooled. So, yeah, I haven't heard. The other thing I figured it could have been was he could have had a bad secondary water pump. You know, maybe the impeller sheared off inside. And so the secondary system just wasn't circulating.
You know, I saw that video with the when A-Rod cut the radiator open.
Transcooler.
The transcooler, when he cut it open, it looked like it was like all. I wonder if like passages are a lot tighter nowadays.
Oh, way tighter.
I
So
just actually had another one come into the shop. This one did not have stop leak. Guy was complaining that he was. It was what was it? A 16, almost 100,000 stock truck, and was complaining that when he was towing his fifth wheel 30-foot camper, that he was getting like 250, 254, and was like, you know, that it was almost in the red. And I'm like, you know, could it be? I'm like, could it be? So, I mean, you guys all know, you know, what's the norm temp on a 1967 pulling nothing, just normally driving? I don't know, 200?
Engine coolant temp?
200 on transmission temp.
Oh, it's probably going to be close to what the coolant tip would be, considering not only the coolant tip is a cooler, it actually warms up the transmission as well.
It should be near ECT and EOT.
I just drove 3.5 hours towing a 20-foot aluminum lun walleye boat doing 75, and my trans temp didn't go over 208.
Yeah.
First time I towed.
Yeah.
What is it normally?
Like 200, 201.
So it had barely any effect.
I was cooking.
A couple degrees.
Drove the whole way using cruise control.
Well, you know what? Not only just pointing that stop leak, but just the breakdown of the coolant and things like that. Because these passages are so small nowadays, just that alone could potentially.
If the additive package comes out of suspension, it'll plug up. That was the problem with 6 liters and gold coolant, was they would run the coolant too far and then it would turn back into a solid and plug up the coolant passages in the oil cooler.
Yeah, so it's a tough one. You can't even just necessarily say stop leak by itself, because I would imagine once that stuff starts to break down and fail, the coolant.
Yeah, the coolant basically turns into a plugging agent.
Very interesting.
The same thing when you cut open a air conditioning condenser on any new car. If you have a compressor fail and it sends metal through the system, you're replacing every piece of that system, because the clearances are now you can't really flush them out anymore.
Tom.
So, yeah.
What do you left a good comment on that video talking about oil consumption? I burned like a quart of oil. I mean, what are you thinking about that? You know, my truck's running good.
You using? I can't remember how much. What was the number?
It was a quart over the course of I think 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
5W40.
I don't think that's excessive, especially on newer engines that have exceptionally aggressive crankcase ventilation systems on them too.
That's exactly what I honestly think it's probably related to crankcase ventilation, because everything else is, I mean, there's no sign of piston ring issues or blow by or anything like that.
If you had a catch can on that truck and you were actually able to monitor how much oil was coming back through the PCV system, where you could actually catch it separately, you'd probably be amazed at how much oil is coming back through the air intake system. And that's going to get burned.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Because these trucks have a a baffle system in the valve cover, right? That's supposed to keep
I think they've got a box.
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe
It's
more
in
of
the
a passage.
CCV.
Yeah, the baffles would be in the CCV for sure.
Yeah.
And I
My
believe there's a
6.2
diaphragm in there that once the CCV pressure gets to a certain, I guess a certain pressure, that is going to be allowed into the engine or into the intake stream. So I don't think there's actually a constant vacuuming effect that is always sucking down just because the low pressure area that the turbocharger is causing. But yeah, like Cody said, these baffles are going to
try to mitigate
separate the oil from the vapor, allow that oil, the heavier gravity, heavy is going to allow that oil to drain right in that front drain or front port on the driver's side valve cover, and then obviously those vapors will travel up there into the intake system. So I have an interesting video coming up about just in the lower intake manifold and really, what to watch, because I really got my butt handed to me. Truck came back a bunch of times. I go over it with you guys and how it made me feel. I found it, and I want to bring that to your guys' attention. So those CCVs, man, they can, if not properly watched, it can really cause.
Are you talking about CCV with the filter on it, or just the new style?
Just them, regardless. Them just having
honestly, I think that I'm probably burning that oil through the CCV.
Could be.
That's what what else? Unless I'm burning oil through the rings. But we did look at the blow by. Taking the oil cap off and all that stuff. I'm pretty good to go there.
So Timbo Slice DS, he goes, I run Mobile 5W40 turbo diesel truck in my truck. Have you ever tried Mobile? I don't think you've used Mobile yet, have you?
Not in my truck. I've always used Mobile 1 in my gas stuff, but I never tried it in the only oils I've tried in the truck would be the 1030 from the factory, the 540 Motorcraft, and now the 5W40 Hot Shot Secrets. What do they call that stuff? PAO or something?
Uh-huh.
Which is, honestly, the truck runs real good on it, but I just think my driving habits are kind of unique. It's not like,
I've got the spec right here. I'm going to try to screen share it. It says 900 miles. Share.
Yeah, I'm not burning that much.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
I'm not burning within 900 miles.
Right here. A quart within 900 miles.
Oh, yeah, I'm not there.
So that would be technically fine.
Yeah, I'm good according to this.
And this is coming right off PTS, so.
My thing is, like, if I'm burning a quart of oil over like 2,500 or 3,000 miles, that's not going to hurt nothing, I don't think.
No.
I'm actually an advocate of using a lower viscosity, little higher volatility oil that will allow the engine, and I use the word allow on purpose here, to allow the engine to use a little bit of oil to give you an opportunity to put fresh oil in there in between oil changes to keep your additive package.
That's not good. That's not good.
Man down.
Oh, I'm back.
Camera down.
Oh my goodness. That's what happens when you snag the cord. Holy Christ. All right, we're back.
No, I was just saying that I actually like it, especially on these super high performance engines, which is what these 6.7s are. If you use a little bit of oil in between oil changes to allow you the opportunity to add some fresh oil in between, just to keep the additive package as sweet as you can. And
I had a customer say the word TBN today, and I thought of a question.
Total base number.
And I couldn't answer it. And my question, which is just you talking about this just reminded me, when talking about sweetening the package, let's say you're in DS's position where you're, checking your oil mid-oil change. Can you just get like a couple of ounces of some TBN and just add it to your oil?
TBN is not an additive. It is a measurement of your acid control additive. So TBN stands for total base number. So when you look at an oil analysis report and it says TBN, what they're telling you basically is how much acid control additive do you have left. So
Maybe
if
that's
that
what I
oil,
was misunderstanding it.
Well, I
and the
think
way you would, go ahead.
isn't there some companies? I don't remember if Hot Shot Secrets has it. You'll know of it. You are Amsoil experts, so you'll know. But they have like a little jar of TBN booster. I don't know. Am I mistaken? I don't know if I saw that somewhere where you just, I guess it's pure base to counteract
Well,
that.
it would be whatever additive they're using to neutralize acid. And you start to get into some very slippery slope, dangerous chemistry when you start messing with that.
Is it better just to put that quarter oil in and that?
Yeah, just
pretty
put the
much,
quarter oil in, because then
right.
everything is balanced.
Because it's crazy. What's amazing is if you just put a quart of oil in, just that quart is actually making a significant impact.
Oh, absolutely. It's giving you, not only is it giving you a quart of fresh base oil, not the same as total base number, but just your regular oil. But it's also bringing in a quart's worth of all of your additives. So your anti-wear, your detergents, your anti-foaming, your acid control, everything. So that's why I like, and this is what I sent to A-Rod earlier, was the 0W40. And I know that you've been running like a 5W40, but I've sold, probably trainload of 5W40, but I'm gradually moving to a 040, just for what I discussed, which is allow that engine to use a little bit of oil. That allows you to add some makeup oil throughout the oil change to keep that oil package, the additive package, as sweet and as robust as possible, so that you never get to the point where you've run out of oil, run out of acid control additive, and you're starting to build up acid in your engine.
So with this 0W40, is this stuff noticeably thinner than 5W40?
No, it's going to be thinner only in cold conditions. So what they do is they use a pour point depressant, which is another additive that gets added to the blend, the bottle, the oil that's in the final package. And so this gets into some deeper oil chemistry. But if you look at, for example, a quart of 5W30 conventional oil, that is actually a 5-weight oil that has had viscosity improvers added to it, so that when the oil gets warm, it fattens up to a 30-weight. So it's 5-weight when it's cold. When the engine warms up, the viscosity of the oil increases as the engine temperature warms up by the use of those viscosity improvers. The problem with that concept is that when those viscosity improvers wear out, which they do, then your oil will no longer fatten up to a 30-weight, and it'll just stay at that lower and lower viscosity. A synthetic oil, even a multi-viscosity synthetic oil, so if you have a 0W40, it is a 40-weight oil, and then they use pour point depressants to get the zero number when it's cold. And so that way, as the oil warms up, when the engine warms up, it's warming up to its natural viscosity. And so then if all of your additives wear out, you still have a 40-weight oil protecting your engine. So that's why I another reason I like synthetics is because you actually get what you get the number that you need the most, which is the protection at high temperature. But the other side of that, though, is you do need that, and the lower the better. That's why I like zero weight oils. The 0W40 or 030 or 020 is because most of your engine wear takes place the second you start that engine, because you don't have full oil flowing everywhere. So
this guy had commented, a lot of people aren't smart enough to check their oil. And I'm sorry, maybe not guy. It says side piece Jennifer. I don't know. It could be whoever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's confusing. Man.
A lot of people aren't smart enough to check their oil, and that may be the case. But regardless if you're not smart enough or not, you're driving this vehicle. You're educated enough to put fuel in this vehicle. You should be educated enough to check the oil. And a lot of things could be prevented by just checking the oil, because that's what's driving it. And, well, I guess sucks to be you if you're not checking the oil. I will agree with her. She does make her. I don't know who Jennifer is. Project Farm does a good series of videos on oils and their additives. I will definitely agree with that.
yeah, he does some good videos.
Yeah, it definitely does. I like how he had everything all laid out. Thanks for bringing that up. Because it was I think like 4 or 5 different samples he had lined up and burned them and had had some sort of wheel that like wore down or sheared the oil away. I mean, it was really put together well, and I mean, it educated me. I've never, I don't really see that in the shop. Nobody does that really. No, you look good. Yeah, it's silly. You should just be checking it. It's
Well, I guess, he or she says some people aren't smart enough. Well,
true that, Daddy Diesel.
There's some things to think about, like, okay, are you level? Are some of these engines I don't feel like the 6.7 is an engine that takes a long time to settle, but I know like the new 5.0 and the new EcoBoost, you really, like, some guys are like adding oil because they didn't let it settle. And it has some kind of a process where it needs to settle for like 15 minutes because it's got some valves or something in it, because of start-stop technology, and you're holding oil somewhere. So I guess it kind of makes sense if you're checking it wrong and not topping it off correctly, potentially adding too much.
I always check when I'm cold. So
Yeah, when I was working in a trucking company, that's how we checked our oil. It's like before you start it up or anything, you pull a dipstick out after it's settled overnight, and then that's your reading. It's just right there.
Pre-trip inspection.
Yep.
What's a pre-trip? Do people do this anymore?
No, it's only something that's written about in books. Nobody ever actually does them anymore.
Like, why is that guy over there kicking his tires? I don't know.
Yeah, that's how we used to do it. Working. I used to change semi-truck tires by hand. We used to go around and with a little hammer, and you get used to like hitting it and the sound of like 100 psi. If you're 10 pounds off, you got to know by sound, because it takes a long time to put that gauge.
Hit it and it doesn't bounce back; it's flat.
Yep.
So one thing I'm liking about the super chat right now is as I like how everybody's interacting and commenting. So two things. Side piece Jennifer just says 100% agree. Just saying that I can't think of any time in 20 years that my wife has ever checked her oil. Just making the statement because I see a lot of women daily driving their husband's truck. I feel you. I totally feel you. And I have witnessed that. It's sad, but it happens.
My wife doesn't check her oil.
Hell no, she doesn't check her oil. And then this guy here, apparently he likes to eat a lot of crayons. Devourer of crayons says, and I've never heard of this. Have any of you guys heard of the Mac E9? It's basically a 16.5 liter Powerstroke. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.
I've never heard of that either. Mac E9. I'm going to have to write that down. Mac E9.
Oh, Mac is the name of the truck company.
Yeah.
And E9 is
It's a truck.
Yeah, it's the engine.
I've never seen
9-liter engine.
one of them things.
Yeah.
Side pitch and be careful when letting someone else drive your truck. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I borrow my truck. Can I borrow your truck? Do not fill it up. Do not fill my truck up.
Yeah, I put some def in it for you.
You better put it in the blue hole.
I put in 20 gallon. Is that a problem?
Side piece Jennifer. I'm friends with 5-0. Should have noted. Note to self. Where'd I go? Oh, there it is. It's like I got all these windows pulled up. I got Zoom pulled up. This delay's killing me. I had to mute myself. I'm getting it figured out.
Hey, don't be telling us what you're doing with yourself over there now.
No, it's just I'm getting all goofy here. Oh, there's so many buttons and this little smiley face thingamaroo, and I don't know. It
says, do you change your oil every 3 to 5K or 250 engine hours and you wouldn't have to check it? What do you mean you wouldn't have to check it, Fred? I don't get it. I think you'd have to still check it. I will say this, though. There was a period, there's been times where I didn't check my oil. And it was back in the day when I had something that was so consistent with the way it used oil. And it was just a simpler design. I knew what it was going to do every time. So I would take out the 6 quarts and I put in the 6 quarts. And I knew what came out. I knew what went in. And I knew what it did between every oil change. And it wasn't an issue. Now, you get a brand new vehicle, and just because it's brand new doesn't mean it's going to be squared away and not burn oil. There's things like we were talking about the valve cover having a baffle. The 6.2s have had a run of bad valve cover baffles where it was just consuming oil, and you could have just burned up. There was a lot of guys that burned up engines because they weren't watching the oil. And eventually, a TSB came out. And eventually a TSB came out that replaced the valve cover. So the point is, even a new engine is going to potentially have oil consumption issues.
Oh, so new engines burn more than most.
Yeah. And talk about the 5-liter.
If you're not checking the oil on a 5-liter,
you're done.
Here's a good. Somebody commented. This chick Kelly says Ford dealers should start a program where new SD owners are educated by a diesel technician on the basics of owning a Super Duty before they pull off the lot. What they do with the information after. Well, that's a good point.
I like that
possibly
idea.
Maybe having. I tried to suggest at my place of business that maybe we should have a monthly class. I don't know, depending on how many Super Duties or diesels we're selling in a month. But I think it would be good for those individuals to, if they're new to the diesel world, to stop through and educate themselves on the basic maintenance and, there are 2 fuel filters. I didn't know I had to change them both at the same time. Just this is stuff that the salesman is not going over. And I know they're not going over it because people come in clueless, not knowing
think about how
correct
clueless
information.
Think about how clueless I was when I got my 450. I didn't know about like water separator. I didn't know, over time I'm learning more, but I'm coming from the gas truck.
I think they should give coffee table books out to the customers too, not just the techs.
Yeah. There's so much in the manual that to get to the proper maintenance, there almost needs to be its own little thin book of just the maintenance, just straight up the maintenance. So that
This guy says, I want to know how many divorces happened after wives put DEF in the fuel tank. Oh, ouch.
I mean,
I was just going to say, I probably talk on a busy month. I probably talk to 200 Powerstroke owners,
I could
and
see a
probably
wife doing gas, putting gas in it.
and I probably half of the Powerstroke owners I talk to in a month, probably half of them are brand new to the diesel world, and so my wife gets so tired of hearing me give the same presentation to new Powerstroke. I think she could recite it now. She leaves the house when I start it because she knows it's gonna be like an hour and a half long.
I'm getting out of here.
You know?
Wow.
And
That's
so,
pretty
and when I
fun.
get done with them, they're like, "Wow, nobody told me all this stuff," you know. And I'm like, "Well,
That is true.
now you know." So,
Well, a
And
lot of people just want the diesel because it's cool and for the power and the ratings
yeah,
and all that. It's like,
it's the muscle. It's the muscle car of the day.
yeah, but it's a lot. It's a lot that goes with it. I mean, you got to be ready to take on that maintenance, that expense. I mean, you're gonna, even if you do it yourself, you got to go and drop some money on these filters that otherwise you wouldn't need. It's a big commitment. You know, it's a big commitment.
Huge commitment. But if you want all that power, you got to take care of it.
Yeah, it's definitely see here these comments. Right on Kelly. Almost like engineers who designed them as well.
Don't even get me
that,
started on that.
that was a good comment.
Don't
from
even get me
Kelly.
started on that. It kind of, I don't know. When you look in there and you see 5 pounds of stuff crammed in a 1 pound bag, it's a little intimidating. I'll have to admit, I love working on the 6.7, but it's like, you know, you take something apart, you take this off. It's like, why would somebody engineer to put a hole right here? You can't even get to this boom. What were they thinking?
Do you think they're doing it on purpose?
I don't think that they're doing it on purpose. I think that maybe they don't know what they're doing because this is being assembled when the stuff's apart, and it's like, whoa,
Dude, when I
how
was
are you going to
watching,
get this off if something spins,
dude,
like this cage nuts?
when I was watching that's a big thing that you mentioned, the cage nuts. But when I was watching your video with the coolant leak on that hose, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna replace the whole hose because of these crimps. They're leaking, they're spinning, whatever. And I'm thinking, I'm wondering if Ford knows that they're gonna sell these hoses and with these crimps. Because you'd almost be able to know like the rate that the rubber will deteriorate. It's gonna leak a little bit, it's gonna blow by the fan, you're gonna smell it. It's not gonna blow nothing up, but you're gonna need a hose. I mean, you're gonna need it. You could almost guarantee it, right?
Yeah.
You think they could have, you think they might think about the time, the labor time. Like when I was working on the 5.4, that old green truck I had, I'm taking stuff apart and I'm thinking like, it just seems like they've made this hard just to make this hard. I mean, the fan shroud,
They make it.
you
I
couldn't
don't know if
take
they
the
do it on
frame.
purpose, but you have pieces that are being used in so many different vehicles, and they're being designed in different places. And so, you know, the part that falls apart, I think, is there is a design integration phase that could happen where they bring all these things together. And this stuff is all possible in virtual reality, because I watched it happen 20 years ago. When I was still in the Army, I went to Michigan and watched a virtual reality lab for a new Army tank. And they were training mechanics. They had mechanics in a virtual reality lab to prevent this exact issue. They said, we don't want to have a bolt get hidden somewhere where you can't get to it without disassembling half the vehicle. And so they had the whole thing mocked up in virtual reality. And the guy had gloves and goggles and everything on, and he's making sure that he can get to every piece And that was all done without any hardware. It was all done in a computer lab.
You know,
So
I believe Ford could be doing something like that, but
it
I
costs
think
money.
they're doing it the other way around. They may be just
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, let's put this mechanic in virtual reality and let's have him hide a bunch of bolts."
Well, and then Snap-on's paying somebody to say, "Hey, you got to make stuff hard so that I can design special wrenches that I can sell to mechanics." You know. And,
Well, the thing about Ford is they have been a company to come out with the most innovation the fastest. If you kind of look at it, GM still has the pushrod V8, whereas Ford's like, hey, we're gonna come out with some overhead stuff like the Coyotes, the twin variable valve, dual overhead cam, which is way more complicated. It's way bigger, and they're just coming out with all this different stuff, turbocharged V6s, and they're cramming it in there. So on one hand, you got a company that's playing it safe a little more, and then you got a company that's taking a little more risk, like Ford. So I think it comes at a cost. Things are a little bit more complicated, a little bit harder to work on. Not that they're doing it on purpose, but if you're going to have a twin turbo V6, or if you're going to have a 6.7 liter Powerstroke V8 with a reverse flow turbocharger in the middle, and the cold air's coming in through the sides and all this crazy stuff, well, in order to make that happen, it's going to be a little bit harder to work on compared to a Cummins inline six, which is just simpler at the end of the day.
You also got to remember, you lost a lot of space in the engine compartment for comfort in the cab.
Exactly.
Think about it. You can line my truck up, my OBS up with a newer Super Duty, and the wheelbase is almost identical. What's different is the cab length. You lose more engine bay by pushing the cab forward for comfort.
Yeah.
well, and then when you start adding all of the comfort and electronics and safety and emissions is a big one. You know, and on the 6.7, you got 2 radiators, 2 water pumps, you know, extra hoses, charge air cooler that's inside the engine area now instead of a radiator out front. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff packed underneath there. So.
Telling this guy here, Fred can hear it. I won't type it. Yeah, we talk about engine hours on our previous podcast when we talked about oil, blowing up the whole oil can of worms that we talked about. But yeah, the rule of thumb is 200 engine hours, 150, 200 engine hours. But obviously, depending on how you use your vehicle, is all going to be depicted on how and when you do that. So. I think for the first live stream, I want you guys to, when this ends, to check out the comment section. Let us know what you thought about the live stream. I want to do this again. Come prepared with a bunch of questions. I want to get you guys checking out what we have to say. If you guys have any not issues, but stuff you want to add. You guys talking about OCR, and we're talking about oil again, and stuff up top. You guys can scroll through at your leisure. I just checked the stats for the podcast apps, the services that we have all the podcasts up on, and we're almost at 8,000 downloads. I haven't checked it in a while, and I'm pretty excited about that. You guys are checking it out, and listening to what we have to say. It's not we're not important people. We're just dudes hanging out before bed, hanging out on Sundays, hanging out, talking about trucks over the internet, and just trying to pass on positivity and truthful information. We got Tom out here telling us the best stuff about oil and coolants, and DS is in the field, firsthand experience with his new 2020 450, and coming soon, Cody's Franken's trucks going to be exciting. We're going to have some good content coming up for you guys, so I'm excited. So I'm going to end this. Thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in. Tom, DS, Cody, everybody out there watching and listening. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. See you.